Alright, I'm going to do functional programming in Objective-C. Okay, so you know how in Ruby, how you can have a array of things and then you can do map and then give it basically a function to do things to everything in that array? I'm going to implement that. That's what I'm going to implement. So let's just do it. It is fairly simple, I think. I'm going to use a function pointer to do it. So instead of a selector, because I think with the selector it would be a method on an object, right? So you'd have to implement that method on the object before you could do anything to it. So I'd rather use just a plain C function. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it makes sense in my head, so that's what I chose to do. So we'll do int main, int argc, char, star, argv. Alright. And now our auto release pool. Elegant pool drain. Alright. So what I'm going to do is first make some objects. So easy way to do this, just do ID objects, and we'll make it an array, and then we'll make it equal to some strings, some constant strings, because those are objects too. So we can do hello world, we could do balls, you could do shit, hello world balls shit. So there's our array of objects. And we also need a count of the objects too, so we can do int count equals size of objects divided by size of ID. So this kind of works. This kind of enumerates the array by taking, so size of object, this is the whole array, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 objects here, 4 IDs. So each ID is the size of an ID, right? So however big this is divided by the size of ID, that's how many there are. And now we need an actual NS array to put them in. Do NS, because this is just a plain C array. We need an NS array for Objective-C. We can do that with class method NS array with objects, and then just a plain C array of objects, and then count. So it adds that many from this array to this array. Okay, so we have an array of objects to do things with now, but we don't have a map method or anything like that, or any kind of select or whatever Ruby has. So we got to implement that. We need a class extension. So we're going to extend the class. So you can add methods to classes that already exist by doing this. So you have the interface, NS array, and then you do in parentheses the category name that you're making. So I'm going to call it lambda. And I'm going to declare the method here. And I want it to return, you know how like Ruby returns an array of objects, or like it returns another array with a different set of objects in it sometimes. So I want to have an NS mutable array so that I can, so like while it's modifying it, it'll be able to do that, and it's not just an NS array, because I don't think that'll work. But this should work. So I might as well just call it map. I'm not actually sure what map actually does in Ruby. Like, I've used it before, just don't quite understand it, but that doesn't really matter as long as it works. So we'll get to the type of the argument it's going to take in a second. It's going to be a function pointer, and I'll explain how do you specify that in a method. But first I'm going to make the actual function after I make the implementation, or declare the implementation here. So just take this and copy it. Okay. So let's say what we want to do to these strings is just, how about just print them out? So we're going to make a function called print. It's going to return an ID. It's going to take an ID. Call it object, because you can print any object. And it's just going to do nslog on these objects. And then return object. So if I were to put this, if I were to map this with an array, it would just print out all the objects and then return the same array, or a copy of the array. Probably shouldn't return a copy of it, but whatever, it works. So this is what I'm going to work with. So what I would want to have to do is just, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have array, and then map, and then the name of the function print, or maybe address of print is probably what I would want. So that's how it's going to look. And all that's going to do is print every object in the array. So now we have to declare the type of this. So you have to put a function pointer as the type here. And usually the type goes like this. So it's like in parentheses the type and then the name. So how you declare a function pointer in C is like this. So you do, so let's say it's going to return an int, and then you put parentheses, and we'll call it function pointer, fnptr. So this is the name of the function here. And like, you put the parentheses because if you don't, then it looks like it's just returning an int pointer, but it's not. That's not what you want. So that's why you do parentheses. And then all the argument types. So you can do int, float, whatever you want, and then you can assign to this variable the address of a function that has the same signature. So that's how you do that. But for a method in Objective-C, you kind of want to move the name to the end, like where A was over here. So you would do ID, and then instead of putting the name in here, you would only put the star, and then ID. And then the name goes out here. So let's just call it FN. So it looks a bit weird, but that's how you do it. And we'll do it down here too. And then the body of the method here. So we want it to do something on each element in the array. And then we also want it to return an NS mutable array. So let's make that NS mutable array. I'll just call it R. Do alloc init. Okay, and then we're going to use like a range loop. So, or I don't know if that's what it's called in Objective-C, but so instead of a normal like C loop, we do int I equals 0, I less than whatever, I plus plus. You would just do ID object, or yeah, for ID object in self, because it's already an array. So self works as like something it can iterate over. And then you would just do fn, or well, yeah, you could do that. You could do fn, and then whatever the object is. So fn object, function object, but it still has to return this array. So I'm going to do r add object, and since this function returns an object, that'll work. That's totally fine. And every time it returns an object, it's going to put it in the new array. So once it's done with the loop, we can return the array. So return r. And this should work. This should work. Let me remove this. And let's see if oh, you don't want to forget to put object in here. Otherwise, it'll probably segfault. Yeah, you want it to actually print it out. So, yeah, let's try it. So gcc main.m string class domain lobjac look a new step base. And okay. Expected identifier. I didn't put NSArray here. And passing argument 1 of add object makes pointer from integer without a cast. Does it actually? It shouldn't. Oh, there's something. Oh, yeah. I knew there's something weird about it. Missing a parentheses. Okay. Expected parentheses before ID. Is it really? Okay, my parentheses were they're just wrong. Okay. Error object undeclared. Count size of, oh yeah. Objects. And NSArray with objects. Objects. Okay. There we go. We got past all the errors. Hello world balls shit. Perfect. It actually works. Okay, cool. Why don't we try uppercase? So we'll do ID uppercase. And how would you do that? You'd want to make a new string, probably. Because if they're constant strings, you can't. Well, you can change them. If you implement your own constant string and do that, I think you will be able to change them. Or maybe put your own methods on it. But I'm just going to do this because it'd be simpler. And a string. So I'm just going to copy it into an NS string. That'll work. And then we return string uppercase string. Simplest way to do that, I think. And then instead of print, put uppercase in there. It didn't print anything. Oh. I know why. I literally forgot. It returns an array. So what you do is, well, okay, so this returns an array. I want to see if I can do a loop again. So maybe something like this, where I do Let's see if that'll work. That should work. Yep, that works. Awesome. Okay. What else could I try? Sometimes when you return an array, it's a different length from the original array. But I think the way you'd want to do that is either like you'd want to change this so it's like if it's a certain value, either add it or don't, or you just want to return nil in one of these, or return a ns null or something weird like that. So let's just return it only if it's like maybe it's a 5-letter word or some shit. So do 5. And let's see, how would you do that? You can get the length of a string, right? So let me try this. And then you would do that, and maybe it responds to len, or maybe it's length. It's probably length. And then change this to 5. And then it has a segfault NSU integer. Okay. Wonder why it has a segfault. Because it doesn't return anything. That's why. 5554. Okay. And now what we'd want to do is test the length. So you can do that, absolutely. Okay, so we're going to do if object, or actually, we could probably use the ternary operator. So object length equal to 5. And we'll get rid of this. Well, you can't put a return in a ternary operator. I don't think. Can you? No, you can't. Okay. Well, how about go to? Maybe go to. Or no. I doubt it, because it's probably like a keyword, just like return. Yeah, you can't do that. Okay, fine. Fine, we'll do it the right way. We'll do if object length equals 5 return object. Now what if I do that? Probably segfault. Yeah. Try to add nil to array. Okay. And as null. Alright, how about something like there you go. You You can return n as null. Or maybe this could be even simpler. Like if I do, what if this has a new method? So new. It does. Perfect. Awesome. Wow. Cool. And then what you'd probably want to do is remove. You'd want to like make you'd want to make another one that finds the indexes of the null objects and then just removes them. So maybe we can do that. Maybe we can. So let's do id. Let's call it clean. Clean the nulls out. So let's see. Probably be really slow. Or actually, it wouldn't be one of these. It would be a method. So what we can do, void clean. Yeah. No arguments. And then let's see. You probably want the index. So what you can do is you need a C style for loop. So int I equals 0, I less than self count, or maybe just count. I think that would maybe work. I don't know. We'll try it. Probably not. Probably not. Might not be public. Or even if it's not, I don't know. For equals 0 less than count, I plus plus. So you'd want to do self remove object at index I. And that is if it's null. Okay, so okay. So you would do class is equal to this. Maybe. I think this is okay. Let's make this a little wider. Okay. So if that is true, do that, else continue. Maybe you can continue with that, right? Okay, we have a couple issues. So we cannot use continue, so we can just leave it empty. This needs to be C11, and we can't use count, so we have to use self count. Okay. An SArray may not respond to remove object at index. Okay. Okay. And how would I make this do nothing? Okay. Now, let me just see real quick. How do you do this? Remove object from array. I'm pretty sure it's remove object at index, right? Or is it just remove object? It is remove object at index. Yeah, that's, huh. That is correct. It is correct. Or maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. Just do remove object. Let's try it. We'll see. May not respond to remove object. Oh. I see why. I see why. Because this is an NS array. So why don't we change this to NS mutable array? And then change this. And then we'll do at index just to be safe, because that's what I had before. There we go. That was why. That was why. And okay. So now we have this array where let's see. So we have, okay, so this returns an array. And then we clean it. Let's see. Collection in faster immersion is not an object. Return self. And then this has to be ID. Ah, yes. How could I forget? Okay. And it works. It just works. Oh, well. There you have it. You have, like, Ruby's map or select or whatever in Objective-C. And I think with Clang, you get blocks and stuff, but who cares about that? I'm using GCC. I have to implement that myself. And I did. So, there you go. See you guys in the next video, I guess. Bye.